No, I don't believe it is dying. To me, language does not die, but it evolves to a new state, I think. And in our case, the language, our language, its evolution may be more perceived as it has reached its evolutionary state.
With the Navajo language and Dene culture being so deeply rooted in American history, how can its language be disappearing in present times? Could it be that in modern times the Navajo language is being restored? How does the media's influence on this topic give the impression that the language is dying to other cultures and people around the world? What do Navajo Preparatory's teachers think about this specific topic, and also how are they doing to help revive the Navajo language?
I've heard this a lot from different people, but I personally don't think it is. What I think is that it's changing in the way that we teach here. We teach reading, writing, speaking and listening, so the writing and reading part is what I think is changing. But the part that it's changing from being just only an oral language is probably where the big shift is. So I don't think the language will die. It's just changing into being, I guess, written and being taught that way.
Teaching the culture for me is important because culture for me is something that is what keeps us sustainable as Indigenous peoples. And so culture is what shapes us into who we are in terms of how do we look at things, how do we perceive things in the modern world and also in our communities. And so in the culture of whichever Indigenous group you come from will provide you the tools, the guidance in knowing who you are, knowing who your people are, and knowing how to handle things, how to look at things, and how to problem solve and perceive something based on that culture. So I think giving students the opportunity to help them in this journey in teaching culture to them, or just in general, will definitely help with them in the future when it comes to someone going out into the world, or either expanding on their knowledge, or traveling, or going to the places with different vast cultures as well, and really reflecting back on how your culture is also unique, just as everybody else's.
What are my hopes? My hopes are that learners take language to a new level of representation and understanding, and to take language and culture to not only shape their own identities, but to influence and innovate with it a new level of understanding in society, as well as global interaction and awareness. And my hope is that students or learners, it doesn't, of either Indigenous, non-Indigenous, Native, non-Native, but to learn Dene, our language, my language, is to carry a sense of purpose. And my hope is that they take the language and it confirms and allows them to remember themselves, where they come from, where they're going, and that at some point in their lives that they'll reflect back on the teachings that they got here or the teachings that they get from home, and not be influenced and carried and swept out into the ocean, but to be able to know how to survive and carry themselves forward, utilizing the skills, knowledge, the traditions, and the practices, especially the language, to kind of reincorporate and reconnect. So my hope is that they take the language and the culture and move forward with it, innovate with it, and discover a new sense of direction and purpose.